He slid off the arm of the chair onto his knees on the floor. And he's sitting back on his heels going, I've got bad knees, son. My knees. My knees are killing me, son. And he starts crawling on his hands and knees towards me. I was up the other end of the house. He's crawling on the floor. I'm thinking, what? I can't believe what's going on. It's a British record transfer, this is supposed to be. And he stops, looks at the carpet, and he went, Illy, like your carpet, son. He said, where'd you get that from? He went, carpet right. How much? He went, $12.99 a square yard. He went, my Barbara would love that carpet. Good choice, silly son. At this point, I started to work out he might be drunk. He crawls up to me, and he sits back. He's crawling on his hands and knees, and he looks out the patio doors, the best garden ever. And he sits back on his heels. He goes, my knees. What a lovely garden. Do you like flowers, son? He said to me, do you like flowers? I went there, all right. He went, hang on, don't move. He goes outside, gets this pot. There's the best pot you've ever seen with flowers spilling out of this pot. He's trying to get his hands around the whole lot to get them out. Ellie runs out behind him. He went, Gaffer, no, that's my best pot. Don't pull them out. He went, Ellie, you're ruining the deal, son. The lad likes flowers.
Going back to London without your shoes and your watch string. I think first agent that came, Kingsley Black, this agent come and he were about 20 stone. Right, Kingsley came to sign with his agent, and they've got into his office, and Clough has said to Kingsley, would you mind telling the fat to wait outside? So he's gone out of the room, and Clough has gone to Kingsley Black. They're a lovely pair of shoes, son. What size are they? Let me try them on. Kingsley stuck his shoes off, and Clough is trying them on. And he's treading fucking backs down and walking around the room in these size 7. He's gone, no. But that's a lovely watch you've got on, let me try that, son. So apparently Kingsley takes his watch off and he hands it over to him. He tries it on. Like the watch, I like the watch, but I don't like the fucking shoes. Right, so the kids come to sign a contract. Oh. Clough gets the watch, stuffs it in his shoes, walks over to the filing cabinet and puts his shoes in the filing cabinet and locks it. He said, go and tell the fat bastard you're going to sign the contract, otherwise you're going back to London without your shoes and your watch string.
Before my debut at Liverpool, Brian Clough, in the dressing room before the game, and I kind of have to remind myself of it. He said to me before my debut, he said, I've seen you playing, obviously I've been playing with the reserves. He says, you can control it. And I said, yeah. He said, you can pass it. He said, yeah, you can run. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, just do them 3 things. And that was my career. And people laugh, but a lot of players can't do them things, believe it or not. A lot of professional players can't control it, pass it or run. They might have 1 or 2 of the 3. So I knew I had that. So that was my career in a nutshell. Obviously, when I went to United after Forest, obviously the higher level you go up, you have to do it quicker and faster, blah, 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 of course.
I was a mascot for one of his last ever games and had really bad eczema on my face. Right. And they introduced me to Clough. And the first thing he said to me, he said, bloody hell, son, you are an ugly bugger. He goes, what have you been doing all afternoon? Headbutting pizzas? I said, no, it's eczema, Mr. Clough. I'm only 10 years old. He took me into the physio's office. Nigel Clough and Roy Keane are in there getting a rub down. And he goes, we got anything for this young man's face? It's with this stuff called Betnovate, which is steroid-based. I put it on and it cleared it up like that. I go back to my GP, I'm only 10, so I used to have to go to the doctor with my mum. Yeah. And he goes, oh God, your eczema's gone. What, have you taken wheat out of your diet or dairy? I said, oh no, I've got some Betnovate. He said, where on earth did you get that? They tested it on horses. Don't use it on your face. It can cause skin cancer. Oh no. I said, but Brian Clough gave it me. And he immediately went, you met Brian Clough? And my mum was like, it doesn't matter whether you met Brian Clough. Is his face going to stay on his skull?
Thank you for agreeing to play for Simon's team this morning. They haven't got a goalkeeper, and I thought you'd do, son. So I goes, no problem, it's Clough, innit? I'm not going to say no. So anyway, I get in car with Simon, and we go to this fucking ground. It was like Concord Park. It was like, there were 25 pitches all over. Dog shit, broken glass, you name it's on these pitches. I've played against Coventry FA Cup day before. Newcastle, Liverpool 2 weeks before that. And you're playing against fucking Dog and Duck. Division 5 at Derbyshire Standard were fucking horrendous, right? AC Hunters got fined 50 quid, right? For playing a ringer. And that bastard took it out of my wages to pay for fine. Swear to God. He fucking took 50 quid out of my wages to pay fucking fine.
It's Brian Clough. And I thought, oh shit. Picked the phone up and he went, young man, have you washed your hands? I said, yes I have, Mr. Clough. He went, call me Brian. I said, okay. He went, tell me, are you signed, sealed and delivered? I said, well, no, actually, I'm quite open-minded as to where I go. I said, I've got to leave now. I said, I've got some interest from different parts, but nothing yet finalised. He went, would you consider coming back to England? I said, well, yes. I mean, that's a possibility as well. There is interest. Would you consider coming to Nottingham Forest? I went, not really, no, Brian. Why not? I said, well, to be perfectly honest, Brian, I said, if I come back to England, and this came out really, it didn't come out how I wanted it. I said, if I come back to England, I want to come back to one of the big clubs.
Oh dear.
Brian Clough went, Nottingham Forest is a big club. There's only Liverpool won more than us in the last 10 years, young man. I said, no, I understand what you're saying. I said, but when I talk, I'm talking about the big clubs with the big crowds, and I was just getting myself in a bigger pickle. And I said, no, I'm from Leicester. I said, it's down the road. I said, Forest is really difficult, if you understand me. He went, no, I don't. Call me Mr. Clough. And bang the phone down.
Tell him this is from Brian. So we're driving up on bus, and Albert, our bus driver, we're thinking we're going to pull into a hotel, and somebody's going, Gaffer's there. Gaffer is in this woman's garden, or this garden, lovely garden with lovely roses, and he's breaking out rose trees off. So he's got a big bunch of roses. He walks over to Letterbox, and he's pushing loads of money through Letterbox, right? And it's spilling all over money. Anyway, he gets on bus and he comes up back at bus, and he came round every player and he gave everybody a rose. Tell your wives and your girlfriends and your mothers, thank you for letting us have you on Mothering Sunday weekend. Tell them this is from Brian.
You played 8 seasons for the man.
Yeah, I was really fortunate. He signed me when I was a 23-year-old from Coventry, and as I say, 8 seasons with him. I think 7 of those as his captain. Fantastic time. So.
Could you really describe your relationship as a close one, Stuart?
No. I always had the impression he never really liked me, if I'm being quite honest with you. I just had that impression with him as though...
Why?
I don't think I was his ideal type of player. He liked centre forwards that would hold the ball up. People like Johnny Metgod that were silky good footballers. I was a more sort of bludgeon my way through life as a left back, and I think at the end he probably respected what I'd done for the team, but in the main I wasn't his ideal type of footballer, I don't think.
Did you fall out with him much?
No, I didn't, to be honest with you. Always in fear of him in many ways, you know what I mean, because of everything he was. I'll tell you a great story. We signed a fella called Dave Curry from Barnsley for 650 grand one pre-season, so he come and joined us. And we were about 3 weeks into the pre-season. Dave had been there 3 weeks. And we went to play at Derby in a pre-season friendly, and we were sat in the baseball ground, and when Cloughy was in the dressing room, no one said a word, so all the players are sat round. We're about 10 minutes before we're about to go out to play, and he looked across the dressing room to Dave Curry, stared him straight in the eyes, and went, have you found yourself a house yet, Dave? Dave said, no, not yet, boss. He went, don't bother, son. After 3 weeks of being at the club, he decided he ain't for me.